Good morning, Americans. This is your favorite Ian speaking on Friday, May 17th. Me and Bubba here are looking at the early day here in Georgia. It's supposed to be a nice day. Braves took 2 out of 3 from the Cardinals. We got the Brewers, so let's see how we do, huh? Well, I gotta do a part two. Yesterday I did a video on a proposal immigration bill to the GOP and those dum-dums, sorry, Democrats uh, in the Congress. And I wanted to expand, so I'm gonna have to do probably another video, part three too. But part two here, let's expand. So, like I told you in the video before, each illegal alien, whether you're dreamers or not, gets a number. And like I said, in Panama, they give you a number. They call it a national ID, or as they call it, cédula in Spanish. And the number used to have, and I haven't been there in a couple of years, so I have to get mine renewed. But it used to say a province. Like I'm from the province of Panama, which has since been split in two, but mine used to start with 8. My grandfather was American from Maryland, and he used to start with an E for extranjero, meaning he was a foreigner. And that's the way the government kept track of people. This is the way the United States should do it here. And to you blowhard Democrats and bleeding heart people that say, oh, you are inhumane by giving them a number, uh, let me tell you, number one, your Constitution is not a perfect, in fact, it's a very imperfect system. There is no more imperfect system on the planet than your Constitution. And here is why. It delegates the responsibility of immigration and dealing with foreign powers to the federal government. It doesn't tell you how or when. Also, it doesn't tell you what do they do with illegal people that are here and dump them into the states and what the state should do with them. That's crazy, huh? And look what President Trump is doing. He's taking advantage of that loophole and dumping them in Texas. If I were him, I would dump them in California, over there by Pelosi's district. See if she likes it. And this is not being physician Americans, this is being right. Also, with the number that you give them, it determines that the United States has therefore acknowledged that they are here illegally, and therefore the Constitution applies to them. And that's where you need Americans. You need this Constitution to apply to them. As illegal aliens, they can do whatever the hell they want because the Constitution does not apply to them. But if you know them as an illegal alien, the number that you give from either State Department or Homeland Security, whatever, you also, with that number, have a right to figure out, okay, so you're going to school. How did you get that? How did the states do this? And you're working. The employer hasn't notified the 941 that you are working. They didn't put you on the employee rolls when they file their 941s for Social Security and Medicare. So that's where you establish the third fund, where they have to put that number like they do the other Social Securities on the 941 and establish a whatever percentage you want to do a fund from their payment, and that way they have to match it, just like they do the Medicare and the Social Security, and they establish a fund for all medical and expenses that may incur in the states. Okay, but you can talk to that and make that fund be whatever you guys want. That's up to you guys in Congress. Now, third, what you have here, when you establish that fund there, you got to also look at the employers. Okay, what's the reason why they employ illegal aliens? Because they're paying them nothing, and then they're cheating them on making them a servitude employee. Because there's a lot of companies that do this in this America. Believe me, I know. I've seen it, and I've had people that have told me. But what you do is you go to those companies and say, okay, boys, The federal law here changes and says, quote, you have to pay them 75% of the current minimum wage, whatever it is in your state and federal. So say it's $15 in some states, right? Or $7.50 federal. You pay them the higher of the two. So if states like stupid California, who says $15 for minimum wage, well, you pay them 75% of 15. That's a lot better than 75% of 750, isn't it? How do you like that, Democrats? Hey, Republicans, you should say yee hoo hoo. I'm on your point this time. But this is a logical way. I'm looking at it through a logical way to do it. The way my country and people would look at this. And the consensus would be there to do this. Because you got a big problem here. Also, you would have to look at the states and the universities and say, why did you allow this? Or states that give them a driver's license. Why do you issue them driver's license? They are not allowed to have any of those things unless they go to the federal government. If they have the number, then you establish a system from the federal government that allows them to do this. That keeps you track of everything. And they should have, like I said, their fingerprints and DNA on file, so that it's on CODIS out there at all times. Because that's the way all foreigners, no matter what country you go to, are dealt with. They're dealt with differently. Ask any country around. Sweden, Japan, and Panama. Panama, because we have a cedula that has the E for extranjero on there. This is your favorite alien. And my grandfather didn't say, oh, I'm being discriminated here. And he spent 50 years in Panama. You guys treated him bad because he didn't take the repatriation to stay. That was his choice. But you American governments treated him terrible. Oh, you still taxed him to hell. Because remember, you tax anybody who lives someplace else. No other country in the world does that, but that's a different story. Part 3 would be later on today on this immigration bill. What do you think, Americans? Tell your GOP and dum-dums what you think. Bye.